we are going to be going deeper into file migrations in Truffle. So firstly, you want to open your project and Ganache, which you have already installed in the previous tutorial. So I have my WebStorm open, or any IDE will do. Here is my Ganache that we've created. Basically do a new project, and I'm just going to call it test3. And for this to work, you want to install Node and Ganache, which we already have. When we open this directory, we will see a lot of our files and external files. But firstly, we have to make sure that Node is installed in our laptop. So we want to install Node if we have, hold on. Okay, I already have Node installed, so we can now install Truffle. In my case, I have to install Truffle in this terminal every time. So we will just have to wait. Okay, so now that my Truffle has been installed, we can double check by putting Truffle version. Yep. And now the first thing I want to do is input or type in Truffle unbox, and this will basically create or embed some pre-built folders in your project. So you just have to wait for it and just click yes. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can open this folder and see there are 3 main subfolders here, which is contracts, migrations, and tests. We will further discuss this moving on more towards these commands here, which is truffle compile and truffle migrate. For truffle migrate, if I were to, let's say, input this command, then any changes that I made to the code, and by code I mean the contracts we have here, so for migration or convertlib or metacoins, any changes that I made will be pushed to the network that we've created in our Ganache, and it will be shown in the interface as well in terms of the transactions. So we'll just wait for this to compile. Okay, if there's an error that says couldn't connect to Node, this, basically you just have to link the host or the port number from your Ganache interface to the actual code. And it says couldn't connect to network at localhost 8545. You have to check your Ethereum network here, and it says that mine is on a local host, but the port is 7545. So all you need to do is go here and change it to 75.5. Save it and run the command again. And then at the end, linking it, we will see how much it actually cost, or the energy cost it took to do that command. And if you see in your Ganache network, then there's tax count, but you can also look at the transactions that you made here. And you can obviously link the specific transactions to the one that's been mentioned in the terminal. We are going to do a deep dive into migration files. And these are the migration files here under the folder. More specifically, when we open the migration files, we can see that convertlib and metacoin are all instances and migrations to the name of our contracts, which is the JSON file and the SOF file. More specifically, for the artifacts require statement over here, what it does is it pulls in the contracts here and wraps it in a contract abstraction. And contract abstraction basically means interacting with the ethereal contract through JavaScript. So this refers to the metacoin contract over here as well. And so for the convertlib. And another thing is for module export statements over here. Obviously, when we compile and put in command, we need to export a single function, and the function takes deployer as its first parameter or deployer, or creates a deployer object. So you can think of this deployer object as like an inbuilt Truffle object that has other functions that we can include for our contracts or migration files. So in this case, we are using the deploy function, which will pass the contract named convertlib and metacoin into our Ganache, which will deploy to the Ethereum network over here. Lastly, just to note, if you create any other or an extra .sol or migration file within the project, when running Truffle migrate, in the terminal, the compiler will deploy the new project into the Ethereum network. So as mentioned, any update to the project or contracts will be updated to the network when migrating. So I'm going to be explaining to you how to reset your migrations. And by resetting your migrations, basically it's when you want to run your migrations from the very beginning, even if you have run the truffle migrate command before. So you might ask yourself, when would this be useful? So let's say you wanted to add a new function or change the logic of your source code in your SOL file. So for example, in Metacoin, let's say you wanted to initialize a variable or change this value over here. Since for this video, this is already pre-built and prepared, so I'm not going to mess with anything in case it doesn't work. But even before then, I know that I mentioned that running migrate statement in the terminal would update any changes to the network. However, we should be aware that the migration file, the first time that we did it before, has already been run correctly, so the program doesn't feel like it needs to run the migration file again, since it was already successful in the first place, as you can see in the deploy contracts and the initial migration here. So the compiler already senses that the migration has been successful, so it doesn't feel like the need to update it again when we migrate it. So to reiterate, the migration system is weird that it has already ran the initial code over here, or migrated the code. So the new update will be compiled, but it won't be reflected in the migration file when pushing it up to the network in Ganache, for example. So we basically, to fix this, have to rerun the migrations from the very beginning in order to compile the new changes we made to our contract. And for this command, we would have to do truffle migrate, 2 dashes, and reset. So this command basically instructs Truffle to run all the migrations from the very beginning, and hopefully it will work. See, as everything's up to date, I didn't actually edit anything from the contracts file in the SOL file, so but this would work even if you made changes, or even if you haven't. And you can find the text count over here and the transactions that we've made, since they are increased.